Start with autonomy. The first instinct when a system can act is to slow it down, put a person in front of every decision, approve each one before it takes effect, and just like that, the old control is back. It is a tempting answer and a false one. An agentic system that needs a human to approve every action is not autonomous. It is an expensive assistant, and the speed that justified it is gone. The approval itself decays too. Faced with hundreds of decisions an hour, the person in the loop starts signing without reading. The control becomes a signature, not a check. So, governing an autonomous system cannot mean approving its decisions one at a time. It means designing the space inside which it is allowed to decide for itself. Control moves from the output to the boundary. Picture the boundary around a payments agent. It is not one switch, it is a shape. There is a value below which it may release a payment on its own, and above which it must hand the case to a person. There is a band of risk where it clears the obvious cases and holds the clearly bad ones, while the uncertain middle goes to a human queue. There is a rule that it may act alone only where the action can be undone inside a known window, and a short list of things it may never do by itself: open an account, pay a brand new beneficiary, lift a block that compliance put on. Each of those is a line. Together, they are the envelope of delegated authority, the precise account of what the institution has agreed the machine may do without asking. And here is the part leaders miss. Drawing that envelope looks like a technical setting. It is a business decision. Where the value ceiling sits, how wide the uncertain middle is, which actions are reserved for people, all of it states how much risk the institution will let a system carry on its own. That is the work of the people who own the outcome, not the team that builds it, and it cannot be left to a vendor default. Drawn too tight, you waste the capability. Drawn too loose, the system acts where the enterprise has no appetite for it, and the first sign of the gap is an incident, and a boundary is only as real as its enforcement. A limit that lives in a policy document with nothing in the running system to stop it is not a control. It is a hope. The envelope has to be built into the system and checked on every action. So a payment above the ceiling cannot be released, however confident the reasoning behind it. Now, the second fault line: probabilism. Before anything goes live in a bank, someone signs it off. A control is tested, it catches what it should, and it is certified. That signature means something exact. This works, and because it is a fixed rule, it will keep working until someone changes it. An agentic system cannot be signed off that way, because it has no single result to certify. A fraud agent does not simply catch fraud or fail to. It catches most fraud, clears most good payments, and on a small remainder, it errs in both directions. No amount of testing drives that remainder to zero, because the next case is never quite like the last. So the question assurance answers has to change. Not is the system correct, but is it correct often enough on the cases that matter most, and will anyone notice when that stops being true? That turns sign-off into a statement about a range. The institution decides before go live what rate of error it will accept for a given kind of case, and certifies against that tolerance, not against perfection. And the tolerance cannot be one number across the board. A clumsily worded customer reply and a wrongly cleared sanctions match are not the same failure. So the standard is tied to the stakes, tighter where the harm is greater or the regulator is watching, more relaxed where a mistake is small and easily undone. Demand near perfection on everything, and you have not governed the system well. You have only made it expensive and slow, which the budget will notice even if the regulator does not. And a sign-off like this is bounded. It holds for the cases The system was tested on the conditions that were true when it was certified. Open a new payment corridor, take on a different kind of customer, and the system is working on ground the certificate never covered. The certificate does not stretch. It has to be re-earned, so assurance becomes something you maintain, not something you grant once. Watching the live error rate, the share of cases escalated, the changing mix of what the system sees. Because a system comfortably within tolerance can drift outside it without a single dramatic failure to announce the change. So autonomy decides what the system may do, probabilism decides what we can promise about it. That leaves the hardest question. When one of those accepted errors lands on a real customer, who answers for it? That is next.